Hofmeister Helles.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of the 1980s. I've got one today which certain people of a certain age will remember with dread. This stuff, Hofmeister Helles. Now, this is a bit like the Budweiser story. Alright, so look, make yourself comfortable and I'll fill you in. Right, back in the 1980s, early 80s and late 70s, German lager was starting to make inroads into the United Kingdom. But it was very limited. Lager was becoming popular, there was no doubt. Germany was renowned for being the best lager producer. So what happened? Well, certain breweries decided to brew some beer, give it a German name, pretend it was German. Now this is nothing new. That happened in the 60s, the late 60s and early 70s with one Kent brewer called Fremlins. They brewed what was renowned as Danish lager. I mean, it'd never seen fucking Denmark in its life, but it sounded exotic, so that's what they'd do. The binman's here, that's why the dog's barking. Ignore it. He's an arsehole, that dog, honestly. Fucking typical, he's like an internet troll. Barks, but if someone fucking gives it the big one, he'll shit himself. Usually on the kitchen floor. Anyway, more on that later. So where was I? Oh yeah. German lager, or lager in general, was becoming popular. It was a bit of an exotic drink. And generally it was crap. You had Carlsberg brewing stuff, you had Heineken doing stuff. It wasn't really that great. Germany seemed to be the lager mecca. So what they did was a particular brewery, Scottish and Newcastle, I mean, you've probably heard of them. That was an amalgamation of Scottish breweries, obviously, and the Newcastle, the one who'd done Newcastle brown ale, they amalgamated. But they produced stuff called Hofmeister. Now that stuff was shit. It really was. It came in cans and you could get it on draft. And it was an exercise in turd polishing. They had what I can only describe as weak as piss. A weak as piss attempt at lager. It was 3.2%. It tasted of nothing. It was horrible stuff. And some of the camera lot and the real ale fellas, when they said lager was nat's piss and all that, they actually did have a point back then. And this stuff, it had the advertising campaign, Follow the Bear. I don't know if you remember it. Some of the ads were corny and I hated them. It was everything about a bloke that I hated, a right flash little ponce walking into a pub, giving it the big un, slapping a bird on the arse and all that. I mean, it was fucking everything about blokes from the 80s that people hated, he encapsulated it all. And it died a death, obviously. I know it was around for a few years, but it died a death because it was crap, basically. It was shit. And then all of a sudden, last couple of years, I've seen people talking about Hofmeister, and I didn't really think much of it. Then someone told me, it's now brewed in Germany. I sort of met that with a bit of scepticism, but apparently it is now. But it's English blokes that are brewing it. And what they've done is they've got an address. I've been trying to research who it is, but they've got an address in Dorking in Surrey. It's just an office block. There's no brewery there. There's nothing there. This is actually brewed by the Schweiger Brewery in Bavaria, and it's brewed to the Reinheitsgebot. Now I'm almost certain the stuff you got in the 80s wasn't. So when I mentioned earlier about Budweiser and Budvar, being completely two different beers with the sort of the same name, that's what you get in here. They've more or less got the labelling the same. There was a bear. I don't think it was exactly the same, but there was a bear drinking a beer by a tree stump, and it was, touted as being a lager, a German lager of sorts. It said it in the ads that the supposed bear, was living in a forest in Bavaria. I mean, it was absolute bullshit. You know what I mean? But here we are now. And what we've got is this, a 5% Helles that's brewed in Bavaria and sold over here with the old livery on it. So let's stop gassing about it and let's investigate what it is. This is a 330ml bottle. This is 5%. It makes a big thing about saying brewed to the Reinheitsgebot. It's light in colour yet serious in taste. This genuine Bavarian Helles lager is meticulously slow brewed for a fresher, more balanced flavour, serve chilled and pour in a Bavarian way. Slow then fast. Is that a Bavarian way? Slow then fast? I don't know. Probably to get a bit of a head, yeah. And you'll enjoy subtle hoppy aromas, gentle carbonation and a generous foamy head. Prost, Reinheitsgebot 1516. And I will say, whoever's done this, I do remember reading about a couple of English fellas. They've gone all out to make this the genuine article. They've even got EU protected status on that, saying it's a genuine product of Bavaria, which is a really good thing. So what they've done is they've combined the old marketing, from the 1980s, and put the beer that should have been in there in the 80s. It never would have gone out of fashion, I don't think, if it was genuine German beer. But there you go. Right, let's get this open and let's see what's going on. Right, there is the cap. Nice. Do like that. That was going in the collection. Now, I remember reading about this. This is brewed with Hallertau hops, which is an excellent German, it's not an excellent German hop. It's one of the noble hops. It's one of the ones that, they use for German lagers. It's one of them, and Tettnang and Saaz are the ones. And that smells really nice. There's some lovely malt, lovely sweet malt on that. Nice hoppy, slightly stronger than normal hops on that. And it's got a lovely little bit of spice on it too. This smells intriguing. You've got to forgive me because I can't get the taste and the appearance and all the bullshit that went with the stuff from the early 80s. Me being an old bastard, I was drinking back then, 12, 13 years old. You could buy this in most pubs, and of course my old man was a lager drinker, and when he took me into the pub 13 or 14 years old, and he drank Guinness wasn't for me back then. It was lager. And Hofmeister, Skull, Heineken, and then when I left school it was Stella. I remember some other abominations being around at the time as well. Orange Boom and Royal Dutch. Christ, they were terrible things. I think Orange Boom is still around. Christ, it was awful stuff. That looks really nice. That is a lovely golden yellow straw colour, half finger foamy white head. Oh, there's lovely earthy and spicy hops coming from that, but some lovely malt coming from there too. Really nice. You really do get the aromas from these Teku glasses. I suggest if you're into your beers, get one. They really do enhance the aromas. Right, let's get it down the hatch. For once, I can say either bottoms up or zum Wohl. That isn't bad. That isn't bad. You can taste them earthy and spicy hops in there. Really nice. There's a lovely lemon citrus all the way through that as well, and that's quite big. The malts on the finish are slightly disappointing. They die quite quickly, but it does leave a very slight biscuit and lemon type finish to it. It's not bad. It is certainly better than the stuff that was around in the 80s. That was disgusting stuff. It's quite sweet, but not in a sugary way. You can tell that's just been naturally sweetened by the malts. The carbonation is quite coarse and slightly abrasive in the mouth, but I think if I left that for a little bit, that would turn into a very nice mouthfeel indeed. The head is dissipated quite quickly as well. I have to say that is a good one. Not the best Bavarian Helles I've tasted, but it is not bad. I will say that. They've obviously cashed in on the livery of the old Hofmeister. I don't know how they've got away with that. They must have bought the copyright, or who owns them now? I think Carlsberg owns Scottish and... No, I'm lying. Heineken owns Scottish and Newcastle breweries, or they bought them out. So they must have bought the copyright off them. But it's okay. This is not a bad lager. It's not the best, but it's not bad. Quite clean. Very sweet. Lots of hop. Typical German hop. Earthy. Slight spice with a lovely lemon backbone to it. The finish dies a little bit quickly, but there is some biscuit malt on the end of that. Malty, doughy biscuit malt on the end. All in all, not bad. So what's the verdict on this? Well, I was trying to get hold of this for ages, and you can only buy it in packs of 24s, and as I said before, I don't want to buy in bulk a beer I've not tried before. I just won't do it, because if it's shit, then I've got, the rest of it. Point being, if I'd bought a load of this shit, and it is shit, that's been sat there for ages, I might fucking give that away to someone. But the taste of that stuff is terrible, and if I'd have bought that in bulk before trying it, I'd have been stuck with it. But yeah, I'm not gonna buy in bulk if I've not tried the beer. This stuff I managed to get hold of from Noble Green. It was quite reasonable. It was under £2. I think it was £1.58, which is not bad at all. And for a bottle, a 330ml bottle, which works out cheaper than Peroni, it works out cheaper than the other stuff, the Stellas and stuff like that. This is infinitely better tasting. I would go so far as to say it's very good, but just not as good as the stuff that comes out of Bavaria, usually, the Hofbraus, the Paulanas, etc, etc. But it's okay. I'll give that an 8.5 out of 10. Would I recommend it? For the price, it's not bad. You can get it on Amazon. They do a deal there. You can buy 24. It's okay. Keep it in the fridge, drink it cold. That on a summer's day, that is supremely drinkable, very refreshing, and just a little bit different from your run-of-the-mill Stellas and Peronis and all the other cake that you get in 330ml bottles. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10, recommended. And remember, beer is working class champagne.